Uh, here's the thing. Giants, man. The subject of giants. Okay, just Indian legends of giants. There's accounts of super huge dudes in North America. Uh, some of which may have been giant. So there's a lot. They talk about the stone giants. Sometimes, like, listen, when a white man heard the stone giants, they might have write down that it was just a giant idol. But in all actuality, it could have been actually a being. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing: there's a lot of bad translation in Indian legend because you just got to think translators didn't have the correct interpretation. So a lot of stuff that comes out where they the writer, the European writer of the Indian language, he interpreted himself things kind of like Stitchin interpreted the Sumerian text, and he was an amateur journalist. He wasn't. He has no archaeological background to really discern correctly the Sumerian tablets. And I mean, and here's the thing: he was leaked the information from, he's a Mason, so I mean, he was in there. They let him be the front man for that particular subject there. So that's just one example of, you can watch Ancient Aliens Debunked by Chris White, and you can see how they made a replica Stonehenge with some lumber and some ingenuity of the mind. Me and my brother tore down this giant. It was like it was a double story shed. So these walls were like 400 or 500 pounds. And my brother was like, man, well, hey, dude, would you help me take this to the fire? And he was sitting there, all right, now you get on that side and we'll pick this up. And I was like, no, wait a second. And I went and grabbed 10 logs and I just set them up in a row, and we used levers and pulled these big sheets, big walls pieces, like a ton, and just rolled it over to the fireplace. And my brother's dad was watching. He was like, yeah, that was a good idea. That's the old Roman method. And where did Rome learn this stuff from? All the nations it conquered. Listen, when they conquer a nation, they don't just go kill the scientists. They go and they make them slaves, and they make all their thinker people. They first teach them the new Roman language, then they decipher all their secrets. You know what I'm saying? Of the builders, of their builders of the societies. But what's crazy, every single mythology, it's all across the world. There's even modern accounts of giant people that are giants. There's thyroid giants, which that just basically means like you got some kind of chemical imbalance that makes you giant, or just really tall. But these people are sick and they die. This isn't the same thing. There's genetically born giants. See, those people with thyroid conditions weren't born giants. Once the condition kicked in, they became tall. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the most time these guys have heart disease because they come so tall, it's hard to pump the blood through their own body because their limbs are so long and it takes so long to get down and back up. It makes the heart and the lungs give out. Like the heart gets weak, then the lungs start collecting fluid and these people die. Okay, this is not what happened. Supposedly these giants were very strong, very healthy, and they could eat forever. They would devour the land. Like basically that's the legend in Indians. That's the legends in the Bible, in other related texts like Enoch and the Book of Giants, Jasher and Jubilees. There's a bunch of different texts that talk about this, these giants. And then, you got Greeks, you got the Titans versus the Titans versus Prometheus. You know what I'm saying? You got the Homer Iliad Odyssey, and he talks about the one-eyed giants. You got Chinese. Listen, if you read their in Buddhist philosophy, there is people that become like giants. That's like actually a state you can get is where you become like gold and diamonds and you're invincible, basically, it says. So, I mean, they say there's a process where you can become like the giants. So, I mean, that's something to look into. Like the Bible says, the men of renown, people who achieved super advancement somehow. And it seemed like they were superhuman throughout history. It's like, yeah, that's the Nephilim. That's like Achilles. I think Achilles had even said he descended from the gods. You know what I'm saying? For instance, Hercules, he became a god. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't believe that, but that's what they say. You got India, same thing. A lot of that, the India and Buddhism have similarities to them. So the giant lore is going to be there. The Greeks brought the giant lore over with them to India anyway, too, and into Egypt. But it said there was a giant Egyptian that a man took his spear from him and slayed him with his own spear. So, I mean, there's another case of a giant toy, and this was Egyptian, I think. You got Native American giants up here, North American, Canadian. You got South American giants for sure. The conquistadors seen them. It's like, I'm not into the Spanish speaking people. I can't really go there because I don't got no ethnic root there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not as into the whole Mayan thing. And plus I know it's sun god, sun dragon, blood dragon, Satan, serpent worship down there. So I'm very skeptical on what these people tell. I mostly see it's a deception with the 2012, the end of the world propaganda event, all that stuff. I'm very skeptical of all these things. It's crazy. They talked about a golden plate portal down at this Tipu Kaku or something like that down in South America, where there's this big giant door cut out in the wall with this little indentation in it with a plate. You got that dude that started the Mormons. He was talking about the plates that he found, the golden plates. Like the Indians up here said they had a copper plate. Like it was real rudiment. It wasn't like European copper. It was just like, it was very shitty. It was like some dudes took some rocks and smashed a plate of copper down and started putting scratches in it. And it was really just like that because the Indians weren't that great of metal workers, it seems. You know what I'm saying? At first. It was all bones and rocks and animal stuff, plant matter. I mean, that's most of the way they operated until the European traders came. The French traders was the first people, like the Indians was tight with the French traders. They didn't like what they were doing to the land and all that, but they loved that merchandise. You know what I'm saying? So the Indian was won over by merchandise, by weaponry. First weaponry, we became masters over our enemies. But, you know what I'm saying? Then alcohol came. You know what I'm saying? Then here comes free blankets from the British with fucking smallpox on them. You know what I'm saying? So look, the Indians got it's crazy. But, there's tales of giants, red-haired giants out in the Southwest. Let me think. You got the giants that founded England. Gog Magog. The Vikings got many giant lore. So I'm saying, look, Sumerian texts, the Vikings, Britain, America, China, South America, all have giant. The Greeks all have giant. The Bible all has giants in them. So someone's hiding something here. And the also dragons did exist. Geronimo talked about the dragon. The Chinese used to use dragon bone as a medicine, and then you got Ninja Gaiden where it says they made the sword out of the dragon bone. And I mean, really, listen, people are made out of carbon, and when you put coal in fire, the carbon transfers into the metal when you're smelting it. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, you could throw some dragon bones in the fire, and they would burn. And in a way, the carbon from the bone would enter into the metal, supposedly. It's like an alchemical process, you know what I'm saying, from metalworking. I mean, so it can be done. It's pretty crazy stuff. So there's more actually, the evidence of giants, there's more that says it's true than says it's just a myth. You know what I'm saying? They've taught us, that's why they teach you Greek mythology is myth, but over in Greece, it's not myth, it's called history. Like, I think the Alberino dude said that he found an island and there was a bunch of, they said a lot, like 100 years ago, you could find satyr skeletons and weird bones, giant bones, hybrid chimera bones and stuff like that all over the countryside. And they kind of cover that up. And then they said there's also pyramids and mounds. You find pyramid-like structures here, but you definitely find mounds and geoglyphs up here. And not sure whose tribe actually built those, because you know what I'm saying. It's probably a lot of like under here and down the Mississippi. There's some Indians that traded with the Mayans. So guessing it's probably, look, you got those giant geoglyphs down there in South America too. Like Machu Picchu or some shit like that. And that those geoglyphs is the Serpent Mound, the spiral Serpent Mound, I think in Ohio. It seems like that probably would have came from those Crees. You know, that would have migrated from the Mayan land. I mean, you also got the Pueblo with star knowledge, star map, astrotheology, related structures. You know what I'm saying? So this shit's all crazy, man. That they're definitely concealing something from us. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Yeah, giants. It's just like this. It's like, you know, none of the world's history disputes the Bible on the fact that giants lived at some point, and they're remembered in the legends and the lores of people that wrote ancient text. You know what I'm saying? It's documented, it's recorded. You know, I mean, it's heavily concealed, man, and downplayed right now. But you know, they're trying to do this now from scratch again. They're trying to do the Super Soldier Project. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're really trying to make the dude from that game Halo. You know what I'm saying? The Commander Chief, Master Chief, transhumanist, genetically modified and augmented, like superhumans. Like, or they're not human beings. They'll be cybernetic organisms. You know what I'm saying? That appear with human characteristics. You know, that's really what's going on. So, I mean, in a way, this was already done through angel modification. So, I mean, if angels can modify it by supernatural means, then it would be easy to assume that man could do it himself through technological means. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have genetic material, well, you can use that technology to manipulate genetics. And then, therefore, you can get the same result without having to have the angels themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because supposedly they've been locked up. They're in some kind of stasis chamber or like a prison. Like, you know, they're in timeout. You know, and they say that's like the CERN machine. They're trying to open the portals, the dimensional gates. There's a lot of interdimensional talk about Bigfoots, that's one of the names of the Bigfoots of the Indians, is the stone giants. But a lot of people attributed that to big rock structures, natural forming structures of rocks, kind of like that big rock owl at Bohemian Grove. That's what they attributed it to, but how do we know if that's really what they meant? Was this just a European, a paganist, you know what I'm saying, describing things only from his perception? You know what I'm saying? You got to look into that. It's more likely that these pagan sun worshippers mistranslated the original terminology to things only they're like, oh, we know what that is. That's alchemy. Yeah, that's what we believe too. Yes, the sun is God. Yep, the earth is our mother. Yep, Mother Mary. So, you know, it seems like there's more likely that deception's going on than I mean, I don't know. The Indians could have believed some things like that, but it's, you know, once again, like I said, there was many different belief structures. Listen, you can look at the Iroquois Six Nation Confederacy. They're matriarchal people. So were the Lakota. The five Fire Nations are all patriarchal people. They're totally different philosophy, man. Totally different religion. So, like, that's just one instance. Or, like, you can look at them Crees, how they were dabbling and mixing their stuff in with the Mayans from what they were learning through the trades with the Mayans. You know what I'm saying? I mean, information's out there, dude. It's just, you know, you can't never think you got it all figured out when it comes to this Indian stuff, because it's been so suppressed and misinformation, disinformation, and you got pagan sun worshippers that are the ones put in charge of determining what goes into academia. You know what I'm saying? And what they want the public to think. They can change the public. They can persuade public perception to either you're a savage. Oh, now you're the sun worshippers. You know what I'm saying? And, oh, see, you believe exactly what we believe. You know what I'm saying? But it was It's false, man.